Prototype Cup Germany 2025. Hello, everybody. Welcome to Nuremberg. Welcome to the Norisring as we prepare for the second race of the weekend. It's good to see the sun shining because about half an hour ago, the rain was coming down. I was chatting to Danny Sufi and Pavel Lefterov a little while ago, and they said this place in the rain is very, very tough. It's pretty tough in the dry, but pleased to say the massive crowd that have arrived here at the Norisring to witness DTM, GT4 Germany, Porsche 6 Carrera Cup Germany, and now about to be entertained by Prototype Cup Germany. The air temperature is 24.1 degrees centigrade, so the temperature has dropped quite significantly to what it was earlier on, and indeed what it was yesterday. But something that isn't different to yesterday is the car that is under the banner that says pole position, because yesterday it was Valentino Catalano and Oscar Tunjo who started from pole position and went on to win race 7 of a 12-race season for the Prototype Cup Germany. It was Valentino Catalano who qualified the car on pole position. Oscar Tunjo said, anything you can do, I can do as well. And he went on this morning in qualifying to earn his 4th ever pole position in Prototype Cup Germany. So the car starting there, also familiar on the outside front row, is Pavel Lefterov. I've mentioned him already, who shares with Danny Sufi in a good position to score points. They got a 2nd place yesterday, and in so doing, extended their lead in the point standings in the Drivers' Championship. Every point counts here, but Danny Sufi and Pavel Lefterov have proven to be a truly potent combination in this series. They lead the way over Max Anglard and Matisz Pluszkul by 40 points. That is a serious advantage to have at this point in the season. They don't necessarily need wins, but they've had a fair few of them. They've had 3 this year already. They won the season opener at Spa-Francorchamps. They had back-to-back wins at the Lausitz Ring last time we gathered for round 3. It was a 2nd place yesterday. Of the 7 races we've had this season, Danny Sufi and Pavel Lefterov have finished on the podium in all of them. Their lowest score, I mean, heaven forbid, they got a 3rd place at Spa-Francorchamps. What were they thinking? Apart from that, it has been 1st and 2nds all the way. But yesterday, Valentino Catalano and Oscar Tunjo were looking like they were going to take a bit of stopping. The number 11 Badischer Motorsport Club Duqueine D08 is very rapid indeed. Prototype Cup Germany using the LMP3 machines is something very spectacular. You have to see them to believe them. These cars, they make the ground shake. They're all running 5.6-litre Nissan V8 engines, the Type VK56 for the nerds amongst you, producing about 455 brake horsepower. It's a sealed engine, naturally aspirated. There are in fact 4 chassis that are available to use in this, but we've got 2 of them, the Duqueines and the Ligiers, that are used in this race, in this series this year. Oscar Tunjo is in the Duqueine D08. Pavel Lefterov is in the Ligier, the JSP320. So the 2 chassis, identical engines. The one thing they have in common is they provide nothing but entertainment. 2nd in the championship is Max Anglard and Matisz Pluszkul. They start 4th on the grid. In 3rd place on the grid is Matthias Bjerre-Jacobsen, Riccardo Cirelli. It was Matthias Bjerre-Jacobsen who qualified that car. 3rd on the grid in qualifying this morning. The 2 teammates, number 8 and number 18, both of them cars provided by BWT Motorsport. We are about to start start the formation lap. Now, this race has been declared a wet race. There's not much rain coming down at the moment. It means that if the drivers do wish to come in for slick tyres, they will be allowed to, for wet weather tyres, I beg your pardon, they will be allowed to do that. So the formation lap starts, the opportunities get heat into those slick tyres that they are running at the moment and into the brakes. We are at the Norisring, a circuit that is 2.162 kilometres around, 5 turns, 4 to the left, 1 to the right. And it is Oscar Tunjo who starts on pole position with Pavel Lefterov for Conrad Motorsport for company. Matthias Jakobsen and Mattis Plushko making an all BWT Mucker row 2 of the grid. On row 3, Jeremy Siffert, what a legendary name, has Sven Barr for company. And on row 4, Alexander Christensen has Thomas Ambiel lined up alongside him. So the car's just generating the heat in the tyres and in the brakes. Yesterday, they gave the cars a couple of formation laps. They're going to do it again today. This gives the drivers opportunity, a little bit extra opportunity on a lap that is sub 50 seconds around the Norisring. We need every opportunity to get the heat into the tyres. It is a bumpy surface here. This, I've already said, 2.1 kilometres. That's about 1.3 miles if you want it in old money. But this circuit is made up of the streets of Nuremberg, roads used by the public for the rest of the year round. It means that they are bumpy, they are cracked, there are drain covers, there are white lines, it's tarmac, it's concrete in places. It's really, really tricky. The drivers have got their work cut out. These cars that rely on ground effect for their grip, when they go over a bump, they lose the grip. It requires maximum concentration. This is the Pro Cycling Cup Germany 2025 style, and the ground is about to shake as these cars burst into life and go up to racing speed. The safety car will peel off. It's Oscar Tunjo who will lead the field around in pole position onto the pit straight. Out of turn 5 we come. 55 minutes plus 1 lap of racing ahead of us as we get ready for race 8 of the season of Prototype Cup Germany 2025, and we are go! And Pavel Lefterov with his nose in front, but keep an eye on Mattis Plushko. Are we going to go 3 abreast into turn 1? I hope not. Pavel Lefterov can't get it slowed down, or can he? Oscar Tunjo slotting into that second place. I thought Mattis Plushko was going to get both of them at one point. He's dropped back into third. There's Matthias Jakobsen there as well in that 4th place. Keep an eye on Sven Bard. He's had a good start. Everybody's made it around the first couple of corners. Even at the back of the pack, Thomas Ambiel and Alexander Christensen fighting for position. But our race leader, Pavel Lefterov, did what he set out to do, and that was to beat Oscar Tunjo into that first turn. You can see a little bit of rain on the camera lens. Not enough to unsettle the cars at the moment. But out along the pit straight we come. Pavel just weaving slightly. Needs to get the heat into the tyres. There are no tyre warmers permitted here. Gets it around turn 1. Don't go deep. Don't miss your braking spot. Don't lose a position. Alexander Christensen, Thomas Ambiel, they are trading 7th and 8th place at the moment. Look at the cars bouncing over the bumps and over the curbs, extracting everything that they can out of this wonderful circuit in the streets of Nuremberg. So Pavel Lefterov managed to get the jump into turn 1. Their teammates will be watching on from the pit garages. Danny Sufi will be the teammate of Pavel Lefterov. He will take over the wheel of that car once the pit window opens. You can see the splashes of rain on the camera lens. At the moment, the track is pretty dry, so no issues there. Into turn 1, going deep. Pavel Lefterov tried to extract as much as he can out of the lap time, but Oscar Tunjo ready to jump if there are any issues at all. I was chatting to Danny Sufi earlier, as I mentioned. He said this track is so bumpy and so difficult, you have to be on your guard. He said you go into turn one, it's bumpy, and you can lose your downforce. You go in at one point, you think, okay, yeah, this is a good line, I can brake nice and late here. You go in on the next lap, maybe 10 centimeters to the side, and there's a big bump, and you lose all your downforce when you hit that bump. It is absolutely critical to get exactly the right line, to avoid the bumps, to get that perfect line through the corner, and this is not easy. When the cars hit those bumps, they lose that downforce and could be heading towards the fence. It is an incredible challenge for these drivers, but Matthias Jakobsen is having a little look to the sister car of Mattis Plushko. Mattis Plushko, who last year was racing a GT4 car around here in the ADAC GT4 Germany, has decided that the LMP3 prototype route is where he wants to go, and has proved himself to be very useful indeed in the number 18 car. They took a win in race 2 at Hockenheim back in May. I say they, Mattis Plushko and his co-driver Max Angelard. So the race is 55 minutes plus 1 lap. There will be a pit window that will open into the race, the 22nd minute into the race. I'm trying not to look away from this screen because I think the battle for first could be about to kick off. Indeed, the battle for third as well. All the cars running very close together. But when the pit window opens, there's a 10-minute window where every car will need to come in for a mandatory stop. There is a minimum pit stop time of 90 seconds. So every car from pit entry to pit exit will need to come into the pits for a minimum of 90 seconds. But then there is an additional time that is added. Every driver is rated by the FIA. We have bronze and silver drivers in this race. Depending on the driver combination or the driver rating will depend on what that minimum time is. Look at that, 251 kilometers an hour for Oscar Tunjo. That is the speed that is being registered. That is the top speed, although Pavel Lefterov has the fastest lap of the race so far, set last time around a 50.611. So with the 90-second pit stop, if it's a silver combination of drivers, there is an additional 20 seconds that is added to their minimum pit stop time. If it's a bronze and silver combination, it's an additional 10 seconds. So the bronze and silver combination of Michael Herrick and Alex Christensen in the number 1 car will have a pit stop time that is 10 seconds shorter than those around it. We also have a solo bronze driver. That is Thomas Ambiel, currently in 8th place in the number 33 car. But his minimum pit stop time is just 90 seconds. And we're also adding to that yesterday's winner. That's the number 11 car, currently being driven by Oscar Tunjo, has an extra 6 seconds added on top of that, courtesy of winning yesterday. The second place car, that's the number 2 car, currently being driven by Pavel Lefterov and leading the race, will have an additional 4 seconds added to their minimum pit stop time. And the number 8 car, currently being driven by Matthias Jakobsen, will have an extra 2 seconds added to the minimum pit stop time. That's on account of finishing third yesterday. It's complex. It sounds complicated. It's actually quite straightforward. I'm just making it sound complicated. It means, though, that it's a great way of leveling the playing field. It means that the order that you see now may well not be the order once the pit window has closed. Certainly, it might not be the order once we get to the pit window, because Oscar Tunjo is turning the heat up. The race finished now. Danny Sufi and Pavel Lefterov would have almost 2 race wins in hand. 25 points is awarded for a win in Pro Cycle Cup Germany. They would be 49 points ahead, but there's a long way to go yet. 47 minutes plus 1 lap of racing still to come for the Pro Cycle Cup Germany, a series that is organised by the ADAC in association with Creventic. These wonderful cars that growl and shake the floor. Let's take a listen to them as they head along the pit straight. Into turn 1, you can see how hard Oscar Tunjo is pushing the car, snaking a little under braking. Pavel Lefterov, an experienced pilot. In fact, both these drivers are very experienced. We saw Pavel Lefterov very recently in the last couple of years in ADAC GT for Germany. Very, very talented. We've seen Oscar Tunyo also there. Right, problems for car 8. Matthias Bier Jakobsen. Looks like there's an issue. This is such a shame. The BWT Mucker car is going slowly. He's out on the Zeppelinstrasse on the back straight. He's pulled it off the racing line. I don't think the tyres have gone down. I think he's got a mechanical issue. In fact, you can see smoke coming from the back of that car. It looks as though Matthias Bier Jakobsen's day might be coming to a premature end. Riccardo Cirelli, the very, very talented young driver, will be watching on from the pits, but he will be clutching his forehead. Yeah, the smoke from the car looks pretty terminal. Now, is Matthias Bier Jakobsen going to be able to get this back to the pit lane? He's up at turn 5 at the moment. If he can't, we may see some kind of caution. He certainly is getting it out of the way. The engine's running, but it doesn't look like he's got much in the way of drive. It looks like he's going to get it to safety, so that is good news for the race. It means that we can keep going. So what happened here? I don't think he made contact with the fence into turn 1. Under braking, the sister car in front with Matis Plushkal at the wheel. He came out of the corner. I don't think there were any issues there, and then the blue smoke started to come. And certainly looking like a mechanical failure. Such a shame to lose Riccardo Cirelli and Matthias Bier Jakobsen, the two very, very talented drivers who got their first podium at the season opener at Spa-Francorchamps. The marshals now pushing that car to safety. They've had a third and a second. They got a pole position at Hockenheim, but that turned into a fourth. They've had a third. Still looking for that first win. Well, it's not going to be today, is it? They finished on the podium yesterday as well. But the number 8 car now out of the race and pushed to safety. At the other end of the field, the race still continues. Pavel Lefterov leading the way. Oscar Tunyo in second place. Lefterov clearly enjoying his time as he moves into the LMP3 category in Prototype Cup Germany. The driver from Bulgaria, who along with Danny Sufi is proving to be a formidable force. Second place, Oscar Tunyo. His co-driver is the defending champion of Prototype Cup Germany, one of them, Valentino Catalano, the very, very rapid driver from Germany, who just wins at everything that he seems to touch. But he's going to have his work cut out at the moment. We're looking down at turn 1. First, second, then a gap back to third. The gap between first and second is 0.776, so 0.7 of a second, getting on for 0.8 of a second. Here comes our race leader. Here comes second. Tunyo pushing as much as he dare. The number 11 car. Of course, when the pit window is done and dusted, this could all change. So the pit window will open on the 22nd minute. So when the clock strikes 33 to go, so in about 5 minutes, a little over 5 minutes, that is when the pit window will open. And then the strategy will come into play. All these cars with different pit times. Matis Plushkal and Max Angelard in the number 18 car will have a shorter pit stop than those cars in front of them. It'll be 114 seconds for Pavel Lefterov when he hands over to Danny Sufi. It will be 116 seconds minimum pit stop time when Oscar Tunyo hands over to Valentina Catalano. It will be 110 seconds when Matis Plushkal hands over to Max Angelard. Thomas Ambiel, who's currently in 7th place, for him, it will be a 90-second minimum time on the pit stop. So Ambiel, as long as he doesn't have any issues, and he did have some issues yesterday, will be propelled right into the heat of the battle. once the pit window opens. But that is all still yet to come as we look down at turn 1 here at the Norisring. And you can see the concrete paving that the drivers run onto. A real challenge here around this circuit. The bumps in the road, the drivers trying to memorize where the bumps are, trying to memorize where to avoid, trying to work out where the grip is, taking unconventional lines through the corners, trying to extract as much as they can. But one mistake in these cars, we've seen it already, we saw it yesterday, and it can be pretty catastrophic. Because you hit the bump, the car gets airborne, you lose all of the downforce, and suddenly you are a passenger. First, second, third. 14.5 minutes remaining, plus 1 lap. We've lost 1 car, Matthias Jakobsen, with the blue smoke that came from the back, and they brought the car into retirement. Lefteroff and Sufi, the leading duo at the moment, leading the point standings as well, looking to stretch their lead. Pavel Lefteroff was 20, 21, 22 and 23 that we saw him in ADAC GT4 Germany. In 2021, he was 6th in the championship, had a couple of podiums. Switched over to Lamborghini Super Trofeo with Stefan Bostanchiev. That was who he was running in GT4 with. We've seen Stefan in the Super Trofeo as well. In 2019, he won the SP8 category in the Nürburgring 24-hour race. A real regular on the NLS and VLN. I know he's going to be at Nürburgring next weekend watching the GT Masters. And was in Lamborghini Super Trofeo back in 2018 as well, 7th in the Pro-Am category. So you can summarise that by saying the Bulgarian driver is very rapid indeed. Oscar Tunyo is running in 2nd place. He's also been on the ADA scene for some time. He returns to Prototype Cup Germany after spending 2024 in the European Le Mans Series. In 2023, in Prototype Cup Germany, he had 3 wins, finished 2nd in the championship. He was 6th in the championship in 2022. We've also seen him in GT World Challenge Europe, in the sprint in the Silver Series. In 2020, he was 4th. And in 2021, he was 4th as well. We also saw him in GT Masters back in 2018, briefly. He was the Tourenwagen Trophy champ in 1917, in 2017, not 1917. Originally started, Oscar Tunyo, with BMW Pacific. He's also been in Formula Renault and GP3, so a really experienced pilot. So you've got his knowledge and experience versus Pavel Lefteroff. They've come through 2 very different routes, Oscar Tunyo from Colombia. But now the 2 drivers are competing for the top step of the podium in the Prototype Cup Germany here at the Norisring. Still in control, Lefteroff at the moment, but the pit window will be opening in a few minutes. 33 to go. I think my maths might have been a bit out earlier, and so now it's about 3.5 minutes, 4.5 minutes. Soon, let's put it that way, the pit window will open, and then will be the time for the teams to start the strategy, and suddenly this whole thing could be turned around. Let's have a look at the gaps. Pavel Lefteroff, 0.8 of a second clear of Oscar Tunyo. Matis Pluskal now 5 seconds behind this battle. There he is in the pink car. Sven Bart had a difficult day yesterday, got into trouble with another driver, ended up with damage, had to retire the car from the race. Then in 5th place, Jeremy Siffert. And for those of you who think, is he related? The answer is yes. The number 80 car been driven by Jeremy Siffert. He is the grandson of the 2-times Formula 1 winner, Joe Siffert, that legendary driver who sadly died at Brands Hatch back in 1971. Jeremy, now his grandson, taking over the mantle as the racer in the family. He's come from Sprint Cup by Funyo. He did that back in 23 and 24. And over the winter, he's prepared for this season and Porsche Sprint Cup Suisse. And now running in the Prototype Cup Germany. This will be a steep learning curve for Jeremy Siffert in the number 80 car. And the number 1 car behind him, Alexander Christensen. And then Thomas Ambiel. I haven't mentioned Matis Plushko much. He's in 3rd place. Got plenty of experience here around the streets of the Norisring. He's also taken to LMP3 racing like the proverbial duck to water, but I certainly got to know him in the ADAC GT4 Germany last year. He got a 2nd place at the Nürburgring, finished 11th in the championship. Has also featured strongly in the GT4 Winter Series. Come from the ADAC Tourenwagen Junior Cup. Had 5 wins from 12 races back in 2023, where he finished 2nd in the championship. And proving his worth, a very, very useful pilot indeed. We're looking at the gap evolution. The summary is Oscar Tunjo is not letting Pavel Lefterov get away. He's not making it easy for him. His plan, just keep the pressure on, maybe get him to lose that concentration for just a few seconds. And maybe see that gap just to miss a braking point, maybe to hit a bump, maybe to leave a gap. Look at the cars bouncing around the corner as they head in towards turn 1. Out of the Grundig turn they come towards the Scholar S, the right-hander. The roar of these cars shaking the ground. And look how close to the wall, a little touch of the brakes at one point. Look at some great replays here. Some great slow-mos in the late evening, I would say sunshine, but with rain in the air, not much sun going on. But Pavel Lefterov, the Ligier JSP 320, racing for Franz Conrad's legendary team. Franz Conrad, the character who owns the team, who's always around the racetracks. I've seen him here this weekend. Such an enthusiast, such a true racer. Putting that car on the track. And now leading the way. This is not a runaway lead, is it? Pavel Lefterov, the pressure has been on all the way. And now we head very close to the pit window. About 40 seconds, I believe, before the pit window will open. Now, Pavel Lefterov may want to stay out as long as possible because he's got an open track in front of him. Or he may want to come in and get Danny Soufi in the seat because Danny Soufi has more experience in this discipline at the moment. Well, the team will be making that decision as well. I think Oscar Tunjo will be keen to hand the car over to Valentino Catalano, who is very rapid as well. So here we go, 5 minutes from the pit window opening, and we are going to find out the answers to the questions that we've been asking. 33 minutes plus 1 lap remaining of this race 8 of a 12-race season in Prototype Cup Germany here at the Norisring. We are in the streets of Nuremberg. Remember, when they come into the pits, minimum pit stop times will change. I suggested that Oscar Tunjo might have wanted to hand over to Valentino Catalano nice and quickly. That's exactly what he's chosen to do. So in comes the number 11 car, getting it over quickly. 116 seconds from pit entry to pit exit is the minimum pit stop time for the number 11 car. That is the 90 seconds plus the 20 for the driver combination, plus the 6 second success penalty for winning yesterday. The drivers, different builds, different statures. The seat insert is taken out. The outgoing driver, Oscar Tunjo, his work is done for the weekend. And now Valentino Catalano jumping on board for the last stint. He'll want to get out onto the open track, and he'll want to go like the Clappers to try and get the undercut on the car that is currently leading. Pavel Lefterov remains out on track. Only this car at the moment into the pits. Valentina Catalana, the 2024 champion, the driver in the IMSA LMP3 Championship, who's led the way there. Also in the Le Mans Cup. He's a German-Italian. I always see him as Italian, but he's registered German. I remember him in 2021 in ADAC Formula 4 Germany. That is Oscar Tunyo. His work is done here now. The Colombian can only watch. There's nothing more he can do to steal this win away from the number 2 car. The engine is fired up now. Catalano will aim to hit the exit line, the white line. There's a lot of fluid coming from the back of that car. I presume that is all part of what is intended. But Valentina Catalana will aim to hit, oh, nice upside-down camera work, will aim to hit the white line as the clock strikes 0. So he's a little bit slow on that. 1.6 seconds, kind of lost there. But it has been a long stop, so you do not want to go under the minimum pit stop time, because that will seriously hurt you. Better to be over, albeit by 1.6 than over. Oscar Tunyo looking a bit frustrated. He started on that pole position, got beaten by Pavel Lefterov at the start of the race. Lefterov will be giving it everything he's got out on track at the moment, trying to make sure that when his co-driver Danny Sufi comes out of the pits, that they will remain in front of Valentina Catalana. That's going to be quite a feat, because Valentina Catalano is incredibly quick. He will be doing qualifying laps at the moment as he aims to try and make up the ground and make the jump on the number 2 car. Lefterov still out, and some lovely slow-mos here. This was prior to Tunyo coming into the pits. Pavel Lefterov exploring the circuit, looking for the grip, trying not to put a wheel on any part of the surface that might project him into the wall. Right, number 1 into the pits. This is Alexander Christensen handing it over to Michael Herrick in the Gebhardt Intralogics Motorsport car. Now, remember, this is a shorter pit stop time. 100 seconds. In comes the race leader as well. So Pavel Lefterov has the lead to Matis Plushko. Pavel Lefterov in for Danny Sufi. Right, where is Danny Sufi? He's going to appear very, very shortly. There he is. Seat insert in hand. He opens the door. No major rush here. So 110 seconds plus the 4 seconds for finishing second yesterday. 116 seconds. So, no, 114 seconds, that's my dodgy maths, means that they, in theory, should be 2 seconds less than that car there. We also saw that car there surrender over a second from the pit stop sequence. So, Valentina Catalana will be aware of that. Matis Plushko remaining out on track. He can stay out for up to another 5 minutes and 10 seconds. Sven Bart moves up into second place. Jeremy Siffert up into third place. Out along the pit straight once again. Car number 1, investigation for speeding in the pit lane. Yesterday, we our cars getting penalties. Michael Herrick, well, if they're investigating it, there might be another one incoming today. So Michael Herrick, who's taken over from Alexander Christensen, speeding in the pit lane, could well see a visit to the penalty box. They don't normally investigate it unless they've got some kind of evidence. We'll see what happens there. We're looking at the clock ticking down. Feels like a long stop, but it's exactly what it's meant to be. Pavel Lefterov will be rolling in the pit lane as we are watching now. So here comes Valentina Catalano. So Danny Sufi's taken over from Pavel Lefterov. Here he comes, well clear of the number 11 car. Valentina Catalana, he rejoins somewhere in the region of Sven Bart. So that is Sven Bart in the number 3 car. So, with this pit sequence done and dusted, Danny Sufi in a very strong position at the moment. We've had 3 cars make that 4 that have pitted. Jeremy Siffert now handing over to Jakob Erlbacher. He was looking pretty useful yesterday as well. So their pit stop timer is ticking down. Their minimum pit stop time is just 110 seconds. So in theory, they should be well in the battle when this is all done and dusted. Matis Pluskal still leads. Sven Bart in second. Thomas Ambiel in third. Now Sven Bart has handed over the wheel of that car. Well, he's come into the pits to hand it over to Maxim Dirks. So the car's into the pits. Here's Jeremy Siffert in the number 80 car. Jakob Erlbacher ready to take over. Sven Bart, the really experienced pilot. We saw him in GT Masters for a number of years. Climbs out of the car. Maxim Dirks, another absolute superstar in the up-and-coming categories from Antwerp. Studies business. He's come from karting. He has a father, Johan, who has a workshop for vintage Porsches and a collection like no others. If you ever get the opportunity, do go and have a chat to his father, Maxim Dirks. There is Jeremy Siffert. His work is done. It has been a steep learning curve for him, and car number 1 has a visit to the penalty box for speeding in the pit lane. That is a real shame. So any advantage gained from the pit stop is wiped out because Mikael Herrick is going to have to visit the penalty box. It is a box on the exit of turn 1. He'll have to pass through that at no more than 60 kilometers an hour. It will be the equivalent of adding about 5 seconds onto his lap time. And here he is. Excuse me, out of the turn 1. Well, he doesn't take it on this occasion. We'll need to take it next time around. So the penalty box, he's just a pass in the yellow and blue car. Currently out on the Scholar S at the moment, onto Zeppelin-Strasse. Right, the rest of the cars are now coming in. Matis Pluskal is in. So Sven Bart has handed over to Maxim Dirks. And Matis Pluskal, who will be handing over to Max Angelard. Right, where is Max? There he is, just to the left of the picture, holding his seat. Max Angelard will take over from Matis Pluskal. His work is done for this weekend. Limited number of crew allowed to work on the pink car, the number 18 Duqueine Dio8, prepared by BWT Motorsport. Such aggressive looking cars, wonderful machines. So everybody who should have pitted has or is, apart from Thomas Ambiel, who now takes on the lead of the race, and that is a big lockup for Danny Sufi. Going into the corner, you can see the plumes of smoke, and that is going to cause all sorts of vibrations because those tyres will have a big flat spot on them, and he's going to have to carry those tyres for the next 23 3/4 minutes all the way to the end of this race. So he's going to be regretting that one. You can see how hard he is pushing, and that is borne out by the fact of that big lockup. When the pit sequence are done and dusted, we'll see where he comes out in comparison. There's Max Angelard. Currently the clock ticking down, and Thomas Ambiel. So Ambiel from the lead into the pits. The pit window closes. Everybody who needed to pit and has pitted out onto the pit straight. There's Max Angelard. He's rolling. He hits the line. Oh, perfection. 0.3 of a second. Didn't give much away there, did he? And there comes Danny Sufi. So into second place. What a great pit stop. How well timed was that for Matis Pluskal and then Max Angelard. Thomas Ambiel is going to be coming out to join this battle before too long as well. So Danny Sufi is the net race leader. Where is he? He's up on the Scholar S at the moment, running out along the Zeppelin-Strasse towards turn 4. Thomas Ambiel still in the pits at the moment. There is Thomas Ambiel. The engine fires up. The clock ticks down. Danny Sufi ahead of Max Angelard. Valentina Catalana, as a result of the pit stop sequence, is shuffled down the order behind the number 18 car. Sufi now takes the lead of the race officially. Max Angelard there has got Valentino Catalano. Well, good luck holding him off for 22 minutes, because Max Angelard, very new to this discipline. Valentino Catalano, well, we'll call him a veteran in this instance. Very, very experienced, and he will be putting the pressure onto Max Angelard. Max, who's had those podiums, had 3 from the first 4 races here in Prototype Cup journey, but was just 1 year in GT4 racing as he loses that position. I think that was only a matter of time, but still very much in contention. But Max Angelard, just 1 year in GT4 racing, and now to LMP3. It was last year he was in the GT4 European Silver Cup for Allied Racing in a Porsche. Prior to that, 2 years ago, Max Angelard was racing a kart. What a step up that is proving to be, and he is showing how much talent he's got, along with Matis Pliskal. We're looking again, didn't really put up too much of a fight for Valentino Catalano, and I would say that is sensible driving. There's no use risking the car, having an accident, fighting a battle you're not really going to win. Right now, the question is going to be, can Danny Sufi hold off the attentions of Valentino Catalano? Let's have a look at this. So, 20.5 minutes remaining. The last lap for these cars, 50.043 from Danny Sufi, 49.643 for Valentino Catalano. Catalano is the quickest man on the track. He was 0.4 of a second quicker than the race leader the last time around. You can see the evolution of the gap there. Conclusion is that Catalano has got the hammer down and is closing in on the leader. So the gap, it was 2.9 seconds last time they crossed the line. Is this going to be a grandstand finish? Danny Sufi thinking of the championship. Valentino Catalano, the defending champion in Prototype Cup Germany. Right, it was 2.9 last time around. What is it this time? And it's still 2.9. So holding station, Danny Sufi and Valentino Catalano. Sufi responding to the attack of the number 11 car. So 2.903 is the gap between first and second. Valentino Catalano, though, on the previous lap, set the fastest lap of the race, a 49.643. There's a time that is wouldn't be out of place in a DTM race that we saw earlier on today. Looking at the Dutzendijk turn, turn 4, another of the 180-degree hairpins. Max Angelard has now been caught by Maxim Dirks. So Maxim Dirks having caught up with Angelard. Dirks, the more experienced of the two. That car with the very pretty livery in 4th place, but now about half a second back from a podium position. And I have to tell you that Maxim Dirks will not be pulling any punches and trying to find a route past the number 18 car. So there's a battle for the lead. There's a battle for 3rd place. 1st and 2nd closing in on each other. 3rd and 4th closing in on each other as well. This is not done and dusted yet. 18.25 minutes plus 1 lap. Max Angelard in the pink number 18 BWT car. Maxim Dirks in the very colourful number 3 car. Out close to the wall, keep the concentration, don't allow there to hit any bumps. Catalano's taken 0.4 of a second out of the lead. He's closing in on Danny Sufi. This battle we're looking at is 6.1 seconds back. Maxim Dirks to the inside into turn 1. Can he get it slowed down? He smokes the brakes, but he shuts the door. Angelard tries to come back at him, but Maxim Dirks moves up into a podium position. We saw him and Sven Bahr taking their first ever podiums at the Norisring last time out. They took 2 second places. Is this going to be a 3rd podium for Maxim Dirks and Sven Bahr? Certainly looking that way at the moment. He's made up 3 places in this race. He is the biggest climber in this race, he along with his co-pilot Sven Bahr. A lovely replay here. Got the back end sliding a little. A lock-up of the brakes. Exactly what he needed to do, though, to get in front of the number 18 car to demote Max Angelard off the podium, along with Mattis Plushko. But it's not all done yet, because Angelard could still come back. Although in the background, Jakob Erlbacher is the next one. He was 2.043 back last time. Meanwhile, at the front, the gap 2.3. So Catalano just chipping away at the race leader. He's still got 16.5 minutes remaining to catch him. Now Jakob Erlbacher looking to ruin Max Angelard's day just a little bit more. Has his eyes on that 4th place. Maxim Dirks has broken clear. Now sets about after Valentina Catalano, but Catalano's opened up the gap, 7.027, 2.3 back from the race leader, 16 minutes remaining. In towards turn 1. The roar of the cars onto the power, shifting up through the gearbox. It's Danny Sufi leading the way. Pavel Lefterov, who got the jump from the front row, overtook Oscar Tunyo into the first corner. Valentina Catalano took over from Oscar Tunyo, now trying to close in to steal that position back. Danny Sufi from Austin in Texas, living in Dortmund at the moment. Came from the world originally of drifting an MX-5. Not much different to this, is it? Oh, maybe it is. Right, first and second. There it is. 2.3. So Sufi clearly giving it everything he's got. This is the fight now for 4th place. Max Angelard with Jakob Erlbacher behind him. Jakob Erlbacher, who we've seen for a while, has raced in all 4 seasons of the Prototype Cup Germany. His best up until this season, 2 times 4 places in 2023. We've also seen him briefly in ADAC GT4 Germany. And Jakob Erlbacher fancies a look at that 4th place. Had a couple of 6s, a couple of 6th places at Hockenheim earlier this year. Here they come. Out of turn 5, a corner that is taken absolutely flat out. Picking up a slipstream as they head in towards turn 1, bouncing around, under braking into turn 1, trying to remember where those bumps are. Max Angelard taking a fairly defensive line around the corner, as is his right. But Jakob Erlbacher looks to have the bit between his teeth. A little look to the inside into the Scholar S. Angelard sweeps across and shuts the door, riding out onto the concrete paving. Still the fight for 4th place goes on while this is happening. Maxim Dirks has broken well clear now to the inside into turn 4, but he smokes a break. Is Angelard going to come back? It's a drag race out of the corner into turn 5, but the position is taken away by Jakob Erlbacher. Onto the pit straight they come, so Erlbacher up to 4th place. Right, the gap between 1st and 2nd is down to 2.029. Catalano is chipping away at Danny Sufi. Meanwhile, this battle's not done yet either. Angelard isn't done with 4th place. He quite fancies having another go at it. Meanwhile, here is 1st and 2nd, very much in the same camera shot. There's Valentina Catalano in the yellow and black car, flashing the lights. Here's our race leader, Danny Sufi, now down to 1.795. The gap now coming down in chunks. Less than 13 minutes plus 1 lap remaining of this race is all set for quite a finish. Maxim Dirks is about 9 seconds back from this battle. So unless these two get together, may struggle to catch up and make a three-way fight for the win in this race 8 of 12. Danny Sufi will be aware. Another 10th taken out. Valentina Catalana, a fastest lap of 49.315, confirming that he is on a mission. 1.668 is the gap between 1st and 2nd. What's it going to be? 1. 29.532. So another 10th taken out of it. 12 minutes remaining, so still plenty of time to catch. Smoke in the brakes, though. Into turn 1. Top speed from Jakob Eilbacher, 252.6 kilometers an hour. Jakob, who's in that 4th place. He is some 4.3 seconds back from Maxim Dirks. Now Max Angelard in the 5th place. Fairly solid in that 5th place at the moment. 11.5 minutes remaining. Still tense, still all to play for. Here around the streets of Nuremberg at the Norisring. Here's the 1st place car. Here's 2nd across the line. 1.295. The gap is starting to come down once again. Valentino Catalana closing in lap after lap. It's going to be one thing catching. Once he's caught up with the green and black car, he's also got to find a route past. Danny Sufi will be aware of this. He'll not want to take too much out of the tyres. He'll want to save something in the Conrad Motorsport car to defend with. Remember what I was saying at the beginning, following my conversation with Danny Sufi. You only need to go into a corner just 10 centimetres in the wrong position and you are going to find a bump and you are going to be up in the air. Every lap is a cliffhanger for these drivers. Out onto the pit straight, 1.1 last time around. Is it going to be under a second? Yes, it is. 0.8 of a second. 0.882, 10.5 minutes remaining. This is for the win in race 8 of the season, Prototype Cup Germany. We saw car number 11 taking a win yesterday. We've seen car number 2 winning 3 times. We saw that car number 11 also winning at Hockenheim back in May as well. 0.7 of a second, the gap between 1st and 2nd. This is great stuff. 10 minutes remaining. I'll focus on the lead 2 cars while we're looking at them. Maxim Dirks in a fairly solid 3rd place. Jakob Eilbacher next, then Max Angelard. Then Thomas Ambiel in 6th place ahead of Michael Herrick out along the pit straight. Once again, 0.708. Sufi responding as best he can. The last lap, 49.441 for Danny Sufi, 49.267 for Valentina Catalana. So you can see the gap now. You don't need a clock to tell you that Catalano is on the back bumper of Danny Sufi. We listen to the growl of the Nissan engine. Into turn 4. Then the flat-out turn 5, back onto the power. Sufi will need to be focusing on what's ahead. He cannot be focusing on the rear-view mirror. If he's looking behind, that is when you miss that braking point. That is when you approach the corner in the wrong position. That is when you make the mistake and smoke a brake. That is when you leave yourself vulnerable. Half a second now, the gap between 1st and 2nd. Catalano on the charge. Just ahead of them is the back-marking car. That is Michael Herrick, I think. Is he going to be a factor in this? Because these 2 cars may well be up to lap him. Now Sufi responds, 0.730, so the gap has opened up slightly. That is the car in front, smoking a brake, trying to distract the cars behind. Danny Sufi, not one for distraction. Catalano maybe just getting himself psyched up, getting himself ready for the charge. The gap remains at 0.7 of a second. Has Danny Sufi found something? He's digging deep to try and hold on to this race lead. He said that racing around the streets of Nuremberg is one of the toughest challenges that he can think of. The car is bouncing around. It is a massive effort. He's extracting everything that he can throw at it physically and mentally. Valentina Catalano dropping back again. The gap back over a second. Have we seen the best from Valentina Catalano? Or is he just getting his tyres back into the window for one last assault? Here comes our race leader once again. out across the line. 1.066. What it is this time? 1.073. So a fraction of a second increase in the gap between first and second. Maxim Dirks is some 11.6 seconds down the road. Here they come. Right, back marking cars, the traffic. This is the opportunity for Catalano to maybe out-fumble Danny Sufi, but has he dropped back too far now to make that challenge? There's Pavel Lefterov watching on nervously as Danny Sufi continues his march forwards at the front. And a look up from the car in front of Danny Sufi. That will have done nothing for his concentration. That's Mikael Herrick locking up the tyres, the plumes of blue smoke. Now Sufi will want to dispatch him as quickly as possible before they get into turn one. Out along the pit straight, they will come, picking up a slipstream to the inside. Catalano, 0.8 of a second back, nearly 0.9, but doesn't look to be able to capitalise at the moment. And I think Herrick might drop in front of Catalano. He's going to slow him slightly. This allows Sufi to move to the inside of the back, marking Thomas Ambiel. Ambiel steps aside. He doesn't want to get in the way of this lead battle. That's also the case for Mikael Herrick. He allows Valentina Catalano through relatively stress-free. Thomas Ambiel will almost certainly get out of the way of Valentina Catalano as quickly as he can without losing too many positions. Of course, the number 1 car and the number 33 car, they are fighting for 6th place, so he doesn't want to get off the power too much. Out onto the pit straight, first and second together, 0.9 separating them, make that 0.7. So 0.2 of a second loss to the race leader, making their way past. I'm looking out the commentary box window, and there is rain coming down as we see the number 1 car dive bomb to the inside of the 33 car. And as Mikael Herrick taking a position away, but out of the commentary box window, I'm in the Zeppelinfeld, which is a little bit behind the home straight grandstand, but the rain is starting to come down. The windscreen wipers are not moving at the moment as we look again at the dive bomb move. Good stuff here from Mikael Herrick, taking that position away. The stewards have got involved. They've said that is not permitted. Car number 1 changed position with car number 33. So Mikael Herrick has been instructed to give that position back because that was not a move that they deemed to be fair. Right, the umbrellas are up. This could be a hectic last 4.5 minutes. Nothing is over until the checkered flag comes out. Now the windscreen wipers are running. Danny Sufi said to me that if the rain starts coming down, you may as well park these things up because they are impossible to drive around the streets of Nuremberg in the pouring rain. Well, it's not pouring, but it is coming down, and this is going to be a challenge for these drivers. Valentina Catalano has dropped back a fair bit as a result in the last couple of laps. We've only got 4 minutes plus 1 lap remaining, so Sufi is now going to be driving with his fingertips, searching for every last bit of grip, making sure that he doesn't make any mistakes, any of those bumps that he was talking about, that they don't catch him out. 1.8 seconds at the moment. Is Valentina Catalano going to settle for 2nd place? Is that possible for any driver to settle for 2nd place? 1.9, so now suddenly the challenge from Valentino Catalano looking to have faded. Danny Sufi just needs to hold on for another 3.5 minutes plus 1 lap to take his 4th win of the season, along with Pavel Lefterov. We got a hazard flag out. I think that's probably because there is moisture on the track. There's another lockup, a bit of damage on the Mikael Herrick number 1 car. This is how tricky it is. Thomas Ambiel in that 7th place. 1.5 seconds. Catalano responding again, but time now running out. Less than 3 minutes remaining, plus 1 lap of this race. Danny Sufi with 1.5 seconds advantage over Valentina Catalano. He'll be listening to every bump, every clog. He'll be feeling for every vibration. He'll want to make sure he's got brakes. He'll want to make sure he's got grip. Valentino Catalano will want to keep the pressure on. He'll want to keep the lights flashing. He'll want to try and pressure the number 2 car up ahead of him into making a mistake. But Sufi, along with Pavel Lefterov, have not put a foot wrong all the way through this race. Out onto the pit straight once again. There's rain on the camera lens. Catalano on a last charge, 9/10 of a second. He is flying. 2 minutes remaining. Maxim Dirks in 3rd place. He's not going to be part of this battle unless these two get together. Less than 2 minutes remaining. Catalano now 6/10 behind Danny Sufi with less than 2 minutes. 1 3/4 minutes plus 1 lap remaining now. Danny Sufi and Pavel Lefterov, they've led all of this race bar the pit sequence and now are just 6/10 ahead of Valentino Catalano. They are 90 seconds plus 1 lap away from the checkered flag and a race win, a win they've had to fight for all the way. Out across the line, it's down to less than half a second. Are we going to see a last assault from Valentino Catalano? He's not interested in 2nd place, is he? He wants the top step of the podium. He's got 1 minute and 10 seconds. When the clock strikes 0, it'll be what remains of that lap plus 1 more before we see the checkered flag. So a couple more laps for these cars. It's going to be a grandstand finish here in race 8 of Prototype Cup Germany, here around the Norisring in the streets of Nuremberg. Sufi just needs to position the Conrad Motorsport number 2 car in exactly the right place, not make any mistakes, not succumb to the immense pressure that Valentino Catalano is throwing on him. Across the line they come. 0.477. The gap is down again. So it'll be this lap plus 1 more. Time is running out for Valentino Catalano. If he's got any ideas, now's the time. They've got Max Angelard ahead of them. How eager will Max Angelard be to step aside and let Danny Sufi through? Or will he become a factor in the outcome of this race? The clock is into 10 seconds, so the remainder of this lap, because they're on Zeppelinstrasse, around to turn 4, then 1 more. Catalano poised and ready to jump if the opportunity arises. This is his best opportunity. Will Danny Sufi fumble getting past Max Angelard? Angelard very helpfully moves aside. He's not helping Valentino Catalano here, is he? Sufi sails through to start what will be the last lap of the race. Catalano, 1 last charge to the outside into turn 1. Maybe try to get Danny Sufi to move across and block. But Sufi's not for turning on the final lap into the Scholaress. Catalano to the left, to the right, trying to distract as best he can, but Sufi has him covered off. They're out of turn 3 for the last time onto the Zeppelinstrasse. Now flat out in towards turn 4 into Dutzendijk for the very last time. Catalano, 1 last look to the outside, 1 last chance. He's not gonna get it. It's going to be a fantastic win for Danny Sufi and Pavel Lefterov in race 8 of the season. Brilliant stuff from Valentino Catalano and Oscar Tunyo. They did everything that they could. Catalano throwing everything at the race leader, but he couldn't get it past, and eventually it was a win for Danny Sufi and Pavel Lefterov in the Conrad Motorsport car. Fourth win of the season, and what a win that turned out to be. Really, really good stuff. Bringing an end to the speed weekend here at the Norisring, the 82nd International ADAC Norisring Speed Weekend. Only 2 of those have featured Prototype Cup Germany. That was in 2023. We weren't here last year, but back again in 2025. And entertaining all the way. As we use the Dutzendite Lake as the backdrop to tell you that the race winner was Danny Sufi and Pavel Lefterov, Valentina Catalana, Oscar Turnio, pushing them all the way, and a third ever podium for Maxim Dirks and Sven Bart, ahead of Jakob Elbacko, Jeremy Siffert, Max Anglard, Mattis Pluskol in 5th, ahead of Mikael Herrick and Alex Christensen, Thomas Ambiol in 7th, and then a non-finish from Riccardo Cirelli and Matthias Pierre Jakobsen. So into Parc Fermé they come, and what an effort. Valentina Catalana, so much respect between these drivers, embraces Danny Sufi, a wink to the camera, a look at that points lead, 54 points, 2 wins in hand. If Danny Sufi and Pavel Lefterov decide to go down the beach instead of going to the Nürburgring for round 5, they will still go into the final round of the season with the championship lead. That is their domination at the moment. There's Sven Bart, who, along with Maxim Dirks, 2 great friends, 2 great colleagues, and they really fire each other up. Haven't you mentioned ADAC Motorsport yet? Another legendary name in the world of German motorsport, and they filled that car for Maxim Dirks and for Sven Bart. Valentina Catalano and Oscar Turnio for Badischer Motorsport Club. They haven't fielded that car at every round so far. Valentina Catalana has moved around a couple of seats as well, but nobody seems to be able to get anywhere near the Conrad Motorsport car that is piloted by Danny Sufi and Pavel Lefterov. So as the peace descends on the Norisring, the wildlife will once again move back in. There's an awful lot of it around. And there, on the left-hand side, is Danny Sufi. On the right-hand side, the taller of the 2 is Pavel Lefterov. Boy, did he have to work for that one. The hard work was done off the line. Pavel Lefterov getting that great launch. And then Danny Sufi bringing it home. A pose for the photographs. Yes, #1. Their 4th win as a duo this year in Prototype Cup Germany. This series that is organised by the ADAC in association with Creventic. 2 legendary names getting together to create a great series. And there is Franz Conrad. There you go, have a drink. Apple juice, I think there might be something stronger than that coming a bit later.
Our sister car, no?
Our sister car. So there is Franz Conrad, an absolute legend in his own lunchtime, a wonderful guy. Sit down and chat to him, he's got a few tales to tell. He's been on the German motorsport scene for many years. And there is Valentina Catalano.
I had a major lockup on that. I couldn't do anything.
But it's so hard to overtake here. Well, like in the chicane, when you're behind someone, you get so much understeer.
It's so risky.
Yeah. I would need to be a dive bomb or whatever.
What happened to me yesterday, like, would be the only way. I was taking those by accident. So.
Interesting. Danny Sufi talking about that big lockup he had and saying just how difficult it was out there. And Franz Conrad. Been a while since we've seen him behind the wheel of one of these cars. I think we maybe need to get him back out as well in one of the other Conrad cars. There were 2 of them last year. Right, we look to the podium for one last time this weekend. Our host, Toby Shimon, on the microphone will introduce the winners.
Sven Bart.
There's Maxim Dirks and there's Sven Bart. Third step of the podium. Always happy, always overjoyed. Such a lovely couple of guys. Always got a big smile on their faces. Valentino Catalano. And what a legend he is. And what a legend Oscar Tunyo is as well. But while we're talking about legends, we're talking about making history. We're talking about Danny Sufi and Pavel Lefterov. Who on earth can stop the Conrad steamroller? The junior winner, Valentino Catalano. It seems weird calling him a junior. It feels like he's been around for a few years, but he's in the junior championship as a result of still being young. And the trophy winner from Gebhard Motorsport, I'll be Michael Eric. And Franz Conrad is going to accept the trophy on behalf of Conrad Motorsport. That legendary smile, those big white teeth that are always on display when he is celebrating. And celebrate he does with the national anthem.
So, dann gebt euch nochmal einen letzten Applaus für unser Podium hier.
So, the national anthem done. Just been joined by Dave Richardson, who was watching that race. You were glued to that from the terraces. Such was the compelling race. I mean, that charge from Valentino Catalano trying to close on Danny Sufi. He came so close, didn't he?
There is an argument that says you don't need to have 100 cars to make a good race.
No, we've proven that. We only needed 2 there, to be quite honest. So was Ori Lichtenberg, a series coordinator from Prototype Cup Germany,
well done, Ori.
presenting trophies. Sorry, I did talk over the winners' trophies being presented. Apologies for that.
Can I just make one point here?
Yes. Oh, Guido Quimbach as well, project manager, Prototype Cup Germany. Sorry, now you can make your point.
Franz Conrad, I've known for a lot of years.
Yes.
Franz Conrad does not age, change, alter in any dimension.
What's his moisturiser? I need to know.
Is it me or is it moist?
It's you. Right. So trophy, I do apologise. I didn't actually shout out the winning trophy being presented. We'll add that one in the edit later. Here we go. Trophy and team and junior. Again,
look at him.
Conrad, I should think he's got
you know, he's 104.
Yes. He's probably got a warehouse somewhere full of trophies, I should think. So, yet another trophy for Franz Conrad. Super guy. So many tales to tell. And a super race from Prototype Cup Germany. Around 4 of the season, race 8 of the season. We've only got 2 more rounds left. We've only got 4 more races left in this 2025 season for the Prototype Cup Germany. We've got a small break now, and then in August we will head to the Nürburgring for races 9 and 10. And then, heaven forbid, we will be at the season close at the Red Bull Ring. But such is the advantage of Danny Sufi and Pavel Lefterov. They can go down the beach at the Nürburgring because they're still going to be in the lead of the championship when we arrive in Austria, come whatever. Thank you for joining us. We'll see you at the Nürburgring in August. See you then. Bye-bye from the Norisring.